Let's go on with Cayce's story. According to Cayce's readings on reincarnation, each of us is not passively playing a role according to a script. In fact, we are actively engaging in each life journey. When it comes to the law of karma, most people interpret our karma as the difficulties we face and the relationships we experience. In Sanskrit, karma means cause and effect. What is most noteworthy, however, is Cayce's unique interpretation. Karma can be simply defined as the seeds of habit. Karma is not a pile of debts that we need to repay. Rather, it is a source of information stored in our subconscious. These habit seeds are stored in our subconscious, influencing our various abilities, driving us to make right or wrong decisions, building relationships with others, and more. For example, in one lifetime, a person was bullied by another and passed away with deep resentment. As a result, in this lifetime, it's highly possible for them to decide to untie the knot that was bad for their growth. Consequently, they may appear as husband and wife, parent and son, colleagues, etc. However, the emotional knot deeply hidden in their subconscious are constantly influencing their judgments. Unreasonable suspicion, dissatisfaction, and distrust keep emerging. Thus, a crisis arises, and both parties are pondering why it is their own karma to meet such a person. If someone responds to the crisis with forgiveness and care, then the memories stored in their subconscious no longer have an impact, because the grace of love has transformed them. On the contrary, if one attempts to resolve the crisis through aggression, persecution, and other immoral means, the mission fails, and more resentment and fear will be stored in the subconscious. This is the result of what the Chinese often say, tit for tat. In Cayce's reading reports, there are many such cases. After a person dies, their soul has the opportunity to review all the events, thoughts, and actions of the recent life and past lives. These records are stored in the subconscious. Then, the soul has the chance to decide what it still needs to learn or practice to become more perfect. When the time comes, the soul will be born again. Generally, souls undergo reincarnations in groups. We choose our place of birth, parents, siblings, and even partners and children, as well as our gender. The purpose of these choices is clear: to maximize the fulfillment of our learning objectives. The highest goal is to fully express our love, regardless of the difficulties and challenges we face. Whether the mission can be completed depends on the choices we make with our innate free will. In Cayce's readings, meeting self is a very challenging concept about the so-called karma between individuals. The readings point out that actually there is no karma between individuals. Rather, karma only exists in one's own state. In other words, you reap what you sow. Whenever someone we dislike does or thinks or says something and we react with anger, what we dislike are often part of who we are. Through the people and events we encounter every day, we have the opportunity to meet ourselves and challenge and cultivate our patience and love. This is a very interesting and dynamic meeting self. One day, when you see love, Buddha, Christ, and God in everyone's hearts, then congratulations, you are awakened. Otherwise, in the next lifetime, you have to come back to earth again. Although our karma is primarily our own, we are often drawn to specific individuals and circles, people and groups that are most likely to provide the environments and relationships that we need to experience. These family connections, work relationships, cultural and social ties, and even ethnic relationships are all phenomena of group reincarnation. We will never encounter anyone for no reason, nor do we form inexplicable first impressions of others for no reason, whether positive or negative. In real life, we may not fully understand why we find ourselves in certain events or states. However, it seems not that important to find out the reasons. What matters is how we respond. Suppose that two people both lose their jobs. One spends lots of time and energy blaming the company, colleagues, family, and oneself, while the other sees it as an opportunity for a fresh start. Reincarnation is not just an Eastern concept. It exists in the doctrines of the world's major religions. It helps us treat everyone's experiences with understanding, empathy, and mercy. When we deeply believe in the concept of reincarnation, we will have understanding, empathy, and mercy for all beings, that is, universal compassion. Wise people see it as a means to help them understand the meaning of life. Cayce's readings said, "While learning, you should know your direction. Finding out where you used to live doesn't make you a good neighbour, citizen, and parent. Yet it's important to know that bad words will result in suffering, and we can correct them now." Cayce had been healing and saving lives throughout his life, making him a great man. He had conducted over 14,000 cases, including delivering prophecies, reading past lives, providing guidance, healing, etc. Among them, 2,500 cases were related to reincarnation. Many scholars conducted extensive research on him. For example, Dr. Gina Suminara's book Many Mansions offers a comprehensive analysis of Cayce's psychic abilities. Cayce's psychic abilities usually arise during self-hypnosis. When someone sought his help, he would lie down on a long bench and enter a hypnotic state. Then, several spirits would speak through him, such as prescribing or prophesying, which were marvellous. Later, he would wake up. A young woman in Kentucky gave birth to a baby. The baby experienced a severe attack of convulsions, and 3 attending physicians doubted it could last the day. In desperation, the mother asked Cayce to diagnose the case. Under hypnosis, Cayce prescribed a dosage of a lethal poison, belladonna, to be followed shortly by an antidote if necessary. The physicians opposed this idea. However, feeling hopeless with no other options, the mother decided to try this only possible solution. Surprisingly, almost immediately after administering the poison, the convulsions ceased, and after the antidote was given, the infant's life was saved. There are many such cases, all marvellous and cannot be explained by current medicine or science. Cayce, in his readings, often explained why someone got an illness. He said the causes could be traced back to past lives. He referred to it as karma with an analogy. He said karma is like a boomerang. When you throw it out, it comes back. When you do anything, the karma you have created will eventually return to you. You reap what you sow. Let's share some of his cases to understand what he meant by boomerang karma. Case number 1. A 40-year-old woman had suffered from symptoms of allergies since childhood. When she ate bread and cereal grains, she began to sneeze. When she came in contact with certain materials, such as plastic rims of glasses or anything plastic, she experienced excruciating neuritic pains in her left side. This is really a tough illness. She had consulted numerous doctors over the years, but couldn't find a cure. It wasn't until she was 40 that she asked Cayce to help read her past lives to find the root cause. After the reading, Cayce told her that her illness was caused by her past karma. In a past life, she was producing chemicals which caused many people to suffer from skin allergies, and the particles in the air poisoned many people. As a result, she suffered from similar symptoms in her current life, persistent skin allergies and neuritic pains. She was a chemist, a scientist. If the things scientists create harm others, they will face negative consequences. Look at those who produced atomic bombs and biological weapons. They will face grave consequences in the future. Therefore, we really need to carefully choose our jobs. If the job can benefit others, we will get good results. If the job harms others, we will get negative consequences. So the most terrible thing is to choose a wrong job, as it will bring about negative consequences. Case 2 is about a college professor who was born blind. Being a college professor indicated his intelligence. He desperately wanted to gain some vision, but he couldn't. Later, he heard about Cayce on a radio program and applied for a physical reading. At that time, Cayce was very famous in the US, often reported by radio programs. Cayce read the professor's past lives in self-hypnosis. He checked several of his incarnations and finally found the root cause of his blindness. It turned out that in 1000 BC, he was a member of a barbaric tribe in Persia, modern-day Iran. That tribe's custom was to blind their captives with red-hot irons. In that lifetime, his job was to blind captives with red-hot irons. As a result, he was born blind in this life. This is the boomerang karma. You reap what you sow. Case 3. A boy suffered a severe spinal injury from a car accident, leaving him paralyzed and confined to a wheelchair. Despite efforts by his family to seek treatment, there was no cure found. After hearing about Cayce, who had gained some reputation at that time, the boy's mother sought his help. Cayce then lay down and entered a hypnotic state. In the hypnosis, he saw that in a past life, the boy was a Roman soldier persecuting Christians. It was this evil deed that caused his suffering in this life. Then he taught the boy to atone for his sins. Remarkably, after a few months, they met a very good doctor who cured his paralysis.